Hey friends, Mark Holmes here with
Mike Lampley Fitness.
and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally doesn't work. We are on our way to work on this rainy Thursday, and I'm still working on the arc because we're supposed to get some heavy rain tomorrow on top of it. When was the last time it didn't rain?
Last week?
And it rained Saturday, it rained Sunday, Monday. Yeah, it's been raining like almost a week straight. And I think we got at least 3 more days of it. It's getting to be ridiculous. But I'm sitting here. We have Demarcus Lawrence franchise tagged, and he was asked today or yesterday about his hopes for getting a long-term deal. And he said he hopes to get it done, but if it doesn't, he's okay playing on a franchise tag because he knows if he takes care of business, he'll continue to get paid. And Kirk Cousins kind of changed the whole outlook on franchise tag. Remember how it used to be with franchise tags? You know, players would get pissed off when they would get tagged. You know, it's like, oh, you don't believe in me, you don't want to get me a long-term deal. But, you know, Kirk Cousins, you know, he got about $45 million of the Washington Redskins for 2 years. Now, it's a big risk because if you get injured and can't play ever again, well, you just got that franchise tag money, you know, which is the average salary of the top 5 at your position. So, you know, Demarcus Lawrence is getting that $17 million for this year. But if he doesn't perform, then you kind of shoot yourself in the foot. So most players wanted to get that long-term commitment, that guaranteed money, you know. But Demarcus Lawrence believes in himself and he's betting on himself. Now the question I have though is, Michael, what do you think about teams signing guys to mega deals, long-term contracts?
I'm not a fan of it.
I'll be honest.
That's what scares me about giving Dak Prescott all that money. What if he has a terrible year when after he gets paid? Then all that money went down the tube.
Well, quarterbacks are a little bit different because quarterbacks, there are very few of them. You could say there's about 10 great ones that are playing in the NFL, about 15 good ones, and then the rest are just a guy. So you don't have too much choice but to invest in a quarterback, and you can't go ahead and say, you know what, I'm just going to pay you peanuts and like it. Unfortunately, that's the going rate for quarterbacks.
Tom Brady did it and liked it and went to 8 Super Bowls and won 5. Well, has Garoppolo done, Carr, or even Kirk Cousins done? And they got mega deals.
Well,
ask me that question. Where have they done? Nothing.
Well, Garoppolo's only had 7 starts or so in his career. That has shades of, God, what was his name for the Miami Dolphins?
It's new.
Scott Mitchell. Scott Mitchell was a relief for Dan Marino and played half a season and played pretty well. And then the Detroit Lions signed him to this big contract. I think it was like $20 million. But back in that day, that was like huge. And he couldn't bust a grade. But here's the thing. I'm just looking back. When we talk about wide receivers, be it Megatron, be it Larry Fitzgerald, be it Dez Bryant, they get the mega deals. You know, I think Megatron's was $120 million. He just steadily went downhill. He was still productive, but they weren't getting that value.
But he was also playing for Detroit too.
Well, for Detroit, Larry Fitzgerald, he did get to a Super Bowl, but his numbers still went down. And when you look at in our Cowboys history, we've been burned on some mega deals with players. You can look at Miles Austin. They paid Miles Austin, which to me was ridiculous. He had one really good season, but he always had an injury history of hamstring pulls before that. And they paid him big bucks. They paid Marion Barber big bucks, and he wasn't even a full-time starter running back. You know, he got like $45 million contract. Jay Ratcliffe, the Rat, because Lord knows he showed he was really a rat with the Cowboys, and basically, oh, I'm hurt, can't play. amazing. Once the Cowboys released him, he immediately signed with Chicago. So my question is do the Cowboys really want to have a long-term deal? And should they? On the flip side, if Demarcus Lawrence plays anything like he did last year, it's going to cost you that much more next year. Now you can still franchise tag him and probably, maybe it'll be about $20 million. Or do you sign him to a long-term deal that you're going to have to guarantee probably $50 million or so? Now the advantage would be is you could make that a team-friendly one where you can get cap relief. Instead of it being $17 million that first year, you might be able to make it $7 million. So all of a sudden you got $10 extra million if you decided to do something crazy right now. What do you think? Or you just leave it at the $17 million and see what we're going to see.
Try to get a long-term deal.
You think so? Even though our history has been that we've gotten burned. So you never see anybody in New England getting mega deals other than Gronk and Tom Brady.
But Tom Brady didn't get a bigger deal.
Well, when he originally signed his deal, he was the highest paid, but they redid his contract to spread it out. And for him, he's got Giselle, which they got more money than their great grandkids could ever spend.
That isn't the point. The point is that they don't pay their players like other teams do, and they're going to championships.
Well, that's because they end up trading the guy before it's time to franchise tag him and get something for him and keep drafting well. If you can get those 4 years and get a guy who can play those first 3 or 4 years of his career and play well for you, you don't need to pay an old guy. And unfortunately, if you don't draft well, you have to try and hold on to those guys. Or if you end up giving up draft picks for nothing, some of the Cowboys did in the past. Or if you have a bad year like 2009's draft where we didn't have a single guy make the team, basically, then it kills you. You have to rely on free agents and holding on to your players and overpaying. Well, it'll be interesting to see what the Cowboys do on that one. I'm betting that they just let it roll as a franchise tag for this season and see what they're going to see. Because reality is, Demarcus Lawrence's rookie year, he had a couple sacks in the playoffs against the Lions. His second year, he had 8 sacks, which was great. But then the next year, he had back issues and the 4-game suspension and only had 1 sack. And so the question is the 14.5 sacks the exception or the rule? I don't know. Only time will tell. Or at least this season will. But as always, friends, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. I'm Mark Holmes, and this is
Michael Anthony Fitness.
And be sure to check out his channel, Michael Anthony Fitness. I will see you guys soon.